Okay, we're delighted today to be joined from Finland by Dr. Mohammed Etedali. He is the founder of VLE, a company providing various high-quality language learning solutions. He's also a former TESOL Kuwait president, as well as the former head of the English language unit at Kuwait University's College of Computer Science and Engineering. He was a senior English language teacher there for more than 20 years. He's currently the English language program leader at Joutsenon Opisto in Joutsenon, Finland. For the past 6 years, he's been a conference proposal reviewer for TESOL International. So it's with great pleasure that I give you today's presenter, Dr. Mohammed Etedali. Dr. Mohammed.
Thank you very much for this lovely introduction. For me, TESOL Kuwait is like my home because I was a founding member, one of the founding members of TESOL Kuwait. So even though that I left Kuwait in 2018 and moved to Finland, still it's so lovely that myself and TESOL Kuwait and my friends and colleagues at TESOL Kuwait have been able to maintain connections. And when I received this invitation to give this presentation today, I was extremely delighted. And I said, oh, certainly, I would certainly do that. So anyway, so today in this 1 hour that I have for this presentation, I'm going to discuss some of the ways or some of the things that you would do or you could do in order to write successful conference proposals. Obviously, you're all teachers and you've got excellent background of the English language. So the purpose of this presentation is not to teach you writing or how you write or what kind of grammatical structures would you be using if you would write a conference proposal, but some of the technicalities of writing a conference proposal. And whenever possible, I'm also going to give you some examples of, they are real examples of different conference proposal sections so that you would be familiar with some sort of good examples, good real examples of writing a conference proposal. So, let's move on and see as the introduction. First of all, why would you be writing proposals? You can take a minute and type your answers in the chat box and let's let everyone know why there is a need for writing proposals. Go ahead, use the chat box. Right? Anybody would like to, okay, to introduce a summary of the work I'd like to present. Okay, very good, from Fatma Saleh. Thank you, Fatma. Mitra Niazi says to be as brief as possible to let others know what topics and strategies we have in our mind. Okay, fantastic. That's lovely. Anybody else would like to show an outline of your research? Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. In order to encourage a plan, all right. To present a research project, very good. Then Yusriya says to express the main aim of research or project. And yes, thank you very much. And so with that in mind, we move on to the next one. And it is, why are proposals important? Again, you can use the chat box to type your answers. So why are to present key features, okay, type-based writing. So why are proposals important? To share our ideas with everybody, okay. This acts as a guideline for the researcher to provide a brief summary from Shuhubu, to shed light on the research topic, taste of my dish. Okay. And then Khamis Atayat says to express my willing to present in a conference. Very well, very well. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And then we move on to the next one, which is what makes writing proposals different from other forms of writing? What makes writing proposals different from other forms of writing? So again, let's see what you would think. Basically, what is the difference between writing a conference proposal and other forms of writing? Different format and technique from Fatma Saleh. Thank you, Fatma. Taiba says it is written according to a specific genre. Very good. The format, yes, excellent. Very good. Okay, so, and then Marine says it presents the topic research methods and so on. From here, I also greet Dr. Marine Milad. I recognize that name there. Very revered colleague of mine. We worked together at TESOL Kuwait when I was there in Kuwait. Anyway, thank you very much. Now, we write proposals generally for a variety of reasons to suggest something, okay, as the name proposal says, you propose something that can be for example, if you want to, introduce a product to the market, or if you would like to offer your services to a company and so on, you would be writing a proposal. But in this specific context, when you write a conference proposal, basically you would want to be included in the list of presenters. And that's the wish and hope. I mean, you would never submit a proposal because you don't want to be accepted. Certainly, when you submit a proposal, the whole idea is being accepted as one of the speakers. And then why are proposals important? Because it reflects in a way what kind of it reflects who you are, and if it reflects what kind of information are you going to provide, what kind of research data, or what is it that you are going to give to the conference, and what kind of value would the participants feel that they have received, a sort of value added that they have received after attending your session. And then most of you referred, as the answer to the third question, referred to the format, which is pretty right. It is really right, the format, the genre, and there are certain types of, let's say, certain kinds of limitations and considerations that you would be taking into account when you write a conference proposal. So, first of all, I would like to talk about what we have and what we don't have when we submit a proposal to a conference. It might be a bit tricky. I mean, this topic have and have not, but what do you think? Again, you can use the chat box and tell me, what do you have and what you don't have? So as so you do not have control over. What is something that you do not have control when you submit a proposal or when you would like to submit a proposal? Any ideas? You can type your, format and formality. If it will go through and be accepted, fine, yes, good answers. Okay, very well. Well, something that you certainly don't have any control over is the number of participants. You don't know how many people are going to submit proposals because the more number of proposals submitted to a conference, the more selective the proposal committee would become, because they need to choose probably the best or the most relevant or the most up-to-date or something. So you do not have control. So in fact, you are not aware of your competitors. You don't know how many others are submitting a proposal. Next thing, but you do have a good control over how you prepare your proposal. So then you have control over this area, the area of preparing your proposals to make it more appealing, to make it more possible that is accepted by the proposal committee of that given conference. Now, there are some initial steps that you need to take into consideration before you do anything. I mean, yes, call for proposals come to your emails and you read them, you get excited. Oh, I want to submit a paper for TESOL Kuwait, or I want to submit a paper to TESOL International, IETFL, ITFL, these different organizations. There are loads of English language teaching organizations around the world, and most of them have events, conferences, seminars, and so on. You need, after getting the initial excitement, you need to do you need to take a few steps. For example, you need to read about the conference. What kind of conference is it? And who are the organizers? What is the area of specialty? What is the area of focus? Is it an annual conference? Is it, for example, every 6 months, every 1 year, every 2 years, it could be, and so on. So read and get yourself educated about that specific conference. Read the call for proposals. The call for proposals outline and give a good roadmap to you about how to prepare your proposal. So this is a very important step, because if you don't read carefully and you prepare your conference proposal not in accordance to the guidelines that the conference organizer has given you, then there is good possibility that your proposal would be declined. Then decide on the session format. Different conferences have different session formats or accept proposals for different session formats. For example, talks where you present, basically they are normal presentations, and then they might be somewhere between half an hour to 40 or 45 minutes. And then the next one would be workshop, where there is a good emphasis on the practical part of the session. So it would be a combination of talk, maybe some theories at some point, but there would be some practical steps within the session. Then the poster presentation, where you prepare a poster and you somehow summarize whatever content that you would like to present in the form of a poster. The poster will be somewhere at the conference venue. Usually there is a specific day, or maybe probably all through the conference. Those posters will be available, and people walk in and pass by. If they are interested, they read, and then most probably you need to allocate some hours to be standing next to your poster in case somebody passes by and asks you some questions. Now, there is just one note here that a lot of people might think that if I mean, they do their best to get their proposal for a talk or for a workshop, and they think that poster presentations of some sort of lower level or lower quality. I would certainly say that this is not it's not a correct idea. I mean, if something is accepted as a poster presentation, it is important, it is valuable, and it bears credit. So they are just different formats through which you can communicate with your audience, whether in the form of a talk, workshop, a poster presentation, whether you would be part of a panel discussion. So if there would be a few people sitting on the stage and each one of them talk like 5 minutes, and then they would address questions from the audience. And then whether the session format is going to be a form which is getting into vogue these days. It's called pecha kucha. A pecha kucha is like something like 4 to 6 minutes only. So I mean, the presenter, the speaker, will have a chance to speak between like 4 to 6 minutes, and everything should be given within some sort of sandwich condensed format within 4 to 6 minutes. So you need to decide which one of these session formats would you be choosing for your proposal, and then decide if you would like to submit or not. So after going through call for proposals, after looking at the different session formats that the conference organizer offers you, and then you would be deciding whether you would like to submit or not. And then the last thing is read the important dates, which include the submission deadline. If you would like to prepare yourself for a conference, you need to plan in advance. It is not only preparing a proposal, which might take some of your time, preparing for the conference, preparing your slides, do the initial reading, all the preparations that you need to do before the conference, they're all important. And then take a note or download the important dates, or keep a note of them somewhere so that you would not miss any deadlines. Now, generally, conference proposal committees have some sort of criteria to evaluate the proposals that come to them. They are divided into technical criteria and did somebody ask a question, or I heard, or maybe somebody's microphone was not disabled. Anyway, so as I was saying, they usually consider, proposal committees consider two sets of criteria, the technical criteria and the content criteria. And then we are going to deal with each of these sets of criteria in the remaining time of the presentation today. But before I move ahead, is there any question? Is there anybody who would like to ask a question until this point? If you would like to ask a question at this point, you can enable your microphone and you can ask your question, please. Any questions?
Good morning, sir. I have a question.
Please go ahead. Can you introduce yourself, please, before you start?
Yes, my name is Javad, and I am PhD candidate in TOEFL from Iran.
Okay,
Doctor,
very good.
I would like to ask you this question. For the proposal, how many pages is required? I mean, is it like a sort of abstract that we should write or a kind of thesis? Because I'm not very much familiar with the proposal, the number of pages that we are supposed to actually propose. This is my question.
Okay, thank you, Javad. And you might also be interested that I am an Iranian teacher too. So anyway, Javad, you are not submitting pages and pages. It's a package that you submit to a conference that includes, for example, a title, a session summary, which is, for example, like 50 words or 100 words. I'm talking about words, I'm not talking about pages. And it has, for example, an abstract, which is like 250 to 300 words. And you usually submit biodata, which is normally about 50 words. So it would not even be it's not about pages, it's about words. You need to be very much friends with the word count facility on your Microsoft Word on your computer. But anyway, you are not submitting any pages for a conference. It's just, and usually they are done online. So there are fields on their website that you type in the title, then you type in the abstract, which is like 250 to whatever number of words, and then the session summary, the biodata, and the kind of facilities that you would like, for example, whether you would need a projector in the room, whether you would need a computer in the room, whether you would need, for example, a flip chart in the room, or whatever you need in the room. And that's it. So it's not in the form of pages. I hope you got your answer, Javad.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Very enlightening.
You're welcome. Any other questions before I proceed?
Yes, sir. Good time. I've got a question.
Yes.
May I ask?
Please go ahead, Mitra.
Thank you very much. You mentioned technical and content criteria. I'd be happy to know what elements would be considered in technical criteria.
That's what we are going to do in the future, in the remaining part of the presentation. I just wanted to know, you're welcome. I just wanted to know, from all these things that we have covered so far, are there any questions, for example, about session types and the differences between, for example, talk, presentation, talks and workshops and poster sessions and so on? If there are no questions, then I can proceed.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. No? Okay, let's go ahead. First, we want to deal with the technical criteria. Basically, when we talk about technical criteria, it means it's mechanical things. So we do not deal, at this point, the conference evaluation committee would not be concerned about how well you have written your proposal, but they are basically thinking of the mechanical things. Like, for example, the title, the length of the title. I have something, I would like you to count your fingers, and I'm sure, or let's hope that you would be reaching the same number. Okay, so we've got 10 fingers, that's right. That's usually the length of the title. So the length of the title should be up to a maximum of 10 words. However, you need to also read the guidelines of the conference proposal if a specific conference might have a different criteria. For example, a conference might say we accept 12 words in the title. But generally speaking, all the conferences that I have seen or I have attended, or the conference proposal committees that I have been a member to, I have seen that they use 10 words. So the title of your proposal, which is going to be the title of your presentation, should not be more than 10 words. I've got one of them here: the role of language interference in writing essays of expository nature in high schools in Kuwait. Now, it looks a very flashy and nice title, but let's start counting the number of words. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, and 17. So there are 17 words. So automatically this, this title will be disqualified. Not only could it be disqualified, it also doesn't get through, because when you submit it on the net, through the website, through the conference website, it does not allow you to type more than 10 words. So you need to take your time before you actually decide to submit. While you are working on your Microsoft Word, on your version offline on your computer, you need to come up with how to summarize, how to make it condense, how to make it shorter, so that you would be having a maximum of 10 words. And again, as a sort of, as something to remember, prepositions and articles are considered as words, so you would count them. Those are counted too. If they are hyphenated, there are words that are hyphenated, they would be considered as one word. And also, don't forget capitalization. So for example, as you see here, the capital letter, role, capital R, language, capital L. Prepositions and articles are not capitalized unless they come in the beginning. And usually it would be very nice, it would be really good practice if your title is in the form of a statement, not in the form of a question. So for example, what do language teachers do in, for example, I don't know, in different kinds of classes? So do not create a question and put it as the title. Try to keep it as a sort of statement. Then the next one is the abstract length. The abstract length, as I said, most conferences consider 250 to 300 words. However, as I said, read the call for proposals, because some conferences might have different criteria. They say, okay, 400 words, 500 words. Sometimes if you're writing a proposal for some other activities, not a conference proposal, for example, to work as a volunteer for an organization, they might ask you to write like 500 words. But the abstract length for generally English teachers conferences, they are about 250 to 300 words. Now, you would also be needing to provide a session summary. Now, the difference between an abstract and a session summary is the length of it. The abstract length is, as I said, 250 words to 300 words, generally speaking. But when we talk about summary, first of all, as you see, I have written if needed. Some conferences would need you to write a session summary. Some conferences would not need you to write a session summary. But usually session summaries are somewhere between 50 words to 100 words. And the aim of a session summary is to be printing that, to be including it in the conference book that is going to be given to the participants. So that when they see, for example, your name, I mean, as they go through the conference program and they see your name and they read your abstract, they really want to quickly, because people usually go from one room to the other, they usually want to see the gist of your presentation in very few words. So conferences would ask you to write a session summary. And as I said, the session summary is somewhere between 50 words to 100 words. Then another technical criteria is the focus on the topic. This is really important when you submit your proposal. In a way, to what extent you stay in focus, to what extent, for example, your title and your abstract are almost in harmony with each other. Or for example, if you are preparing, for example, a proposal for young learners of English, how faithful would you remain to that topic? So you would not be wavering around from young learners to adult learners and then adult learners going back to young learners. So the focus on topic, how much you have focused on the topic. Some of the conferences also provide this for the applicants. For example, they give like 20 or 25 or 30 different session focuses, and then you would be choosing one or more than one of these session focuses. For example, you would like to present, the focus of your proposal is about young learners, CAL, computer assisted language learning, whether it is, for example, about attitudes, about research, about this, about that, business English, and so on. So make sure to choose the right focus for the topic, for the abstract, for the proposal that you are preparing. And then something that you need to be wary of is that it's about the repetition of information. In your summary, when you write your session summary, you must not repeat the title and you must not repeat. Some people think that, okay, I copy part of my abstract and paste it as the session summary. don't do that. It's an absolute turn off for the evaluators. Try to write your original abstract and your original session summary. So no copying and pasting. And so do not use the title in your session summary, and do not use any part of your abstract or biodata or something in your session summary. And then also, the audience focus is an important thing. Whether your proposal is intended, for example, for novice language teachers, or whether it is intended for example, academic language teachers, those who work in universities, whether your session is intended for those who are teachers of the English, but they are not necessarily from English language teaching background. So for example, they studied physics and mathematics or something, but for some reasons at this point, they are teaching English. So audience is also important. And this is something that you would probably like to mention in the summary. So these were all the technical, so I go back just, these were the technical criteria. Again, as I said, these are just mechanical things. For example, counting the number of words here, or counting the number of words there, or no copying, no pasting. Until this point, nobody is interested in what you actually have written in your proposal. And this is going to be after this stage that the content evaluation comes into play. That is the content criteria. First of all, the focus. So in your abstract and in your summary, you must clearly indicate whether the focus of your session is mainly theoretical, practical, or a combination of both. Basically, to what extent your proposal is going to cater for the session format that you have chosen. So if you're going to give a talk, then to what extent you are going to maintain participant engagement? In what way are you going to cater for participant engagement? If you're doing a workshop, how would you stay in focus during the workshop? You know, in a workshop, the idea is having activities of more practical nature rather than some sort of verbal nature. So, this is what you need to create. So when a conference proposal evaluator looks at your proposal, he would like, or he or she would like to see to what extent these areas have been addressed, whether it's a theoretical session, whether it's a practical session, whether it's a combination of both of them. Then the other content criteria is clarity, which is about how your proposal should communicate what you are going to talk about to your potential audience in the program without being gimmicky or using unnecessary technical jargon. In your abstract and summary, you must clearly state what exactly you are going to talk about. I think this item is clear in itself. I don't think that I really need to explain more about it. Basically, don't make it too difficult. I mean, well, those people who are conference evaluators are people like myself and yourself. And they are supposed to read your conference proposal, and they are supposed to judge the quality of your conference proposal against a kind of scale. and say, okay, for example, it is somewhere between 1 to 5, and anything over 3 could potentially be an accepted proposal, and anything less than 3 would not be, and it would be declined. Anything between 2 and 3 might be shortlisted for future in case somebody drops somebody drops at a short notice, and then there would be the need for replacement. Then they might come and choose that specific proposal. But try to write it in a very easy to understand. I'm not saying easy language, but I'm saying easy to understand. So avoid writing and using the words that you are not really sure of. Don't use the technical terms that you are not certain. And if you do, make sure that those words, terms that you are using in your abstract and summary are exactly what you would like to mean. Do you write what you mean? And because conference evaluators or the evaluation committee will also take a look at these kinds of specific words. So if it is not necessary, then don't use these kinds of flashy big words. And also, let me give you this also note, especially for those of you who might have studied English language, English literature at some point. You are not writing a proposal for William Shakespeare. I mean, the reviewer is not going to read a literary piece. So do not try to be very literary and using high register language, because the whole idea is practicality. You need to clearly say what you mean so that the conference evaluator would agree with you that your proposal is actually a good one, and include it or give it a high grade so that it is automatically included in the conference program. I'm going to show you an example here to show the clarity and so on. This is an example. This is actually a real example. In this presentation, I'm going to demonstrate how teachers can effectively integrate critical thinking skills into the teaching of English EFL academic writing in universities. So you see very clearly, it's about teachers using critical thinking skills, in what context, teaching English, and further in the context of teaching English in academic writing in universities. So you see, this is quite clear. There is a tiny problem here. W has started with small letter. I apologize, it should be capital W. We will delineate the properties. These are the two, for example, blips of this piece of writing, part of the proposal. Why there has been used in capital letter, and why we in the beginning has used small letters. We delineate the properties of an English essay, which entailed critical thinking, and present the syllabus we have designed. We will then compare students' essays before and after this instruction to show how students' work improved through this. I would, in spite of a couple of things here and there, like small w and capital T, and a little sequence of tenses using past tense wherever in the place that it shouldn't have, generally speaking, I would consider it as a sort of very nicely written part of a proposal, probably the abstract or the summary. that's, I would say, it's a very good example. Now, let's move on and continue again with the content criteria. Again, something else about the content that it must be clear from your abstract and summary that you have something new to say, or that you plan to shed some new light on the topic. Well, the whole idea of science and the whole idea of going to these conferences is building upon the prior knowledge and creating some sort of fresh and innovative knowledge. So if you are going to go to a conference and say something that probably somebody in the next room is saying, then there is no point. Or if you're going to say something that somebody else already said in the last year's conference, or something that was already published somewhere else, then there is no point in doing that. Unless, for example, if you would like to focus on your own experience, on your personal experience in your own classroom and share it, then of course it is something that is quite welcome. But you know, writing a conference proposal is not just getting some ideas from different places and putting them together and then going to the conference and start presenting it. You should get some, you should add your personal touch to it. What is from you? What kind of value will you be, or your experience be, adding to the conference? Then also the other thing is the relevance, which in your abstract and summary, you should clearly demonstrate that, to your audience, that how can they apply what you are going to tell them in their own contexts. For example, if you are teaching something about how to use a specific piece of technology, then it is always a good idea to include some sort of information that, okay, how can they use it in their classrooms? Okay, so you can say mobile phones are quite useful, or mobile applications are quite useful in teaching EFL classes. And WhatsApp is one of those mobile applications. Okay, then you are going to explain something about using WhatsApp. Okay, fine, still fine. But how can these teachers who are taking part in your session take something from your session and apply it in their own classroom situations? Look at this example. This is also something like a session summary. A practical workshop about the usefulness of songs to teach English. Some interesting and innovative activities that can help use songs for learning purposes, and some steps to follow for a worthwhile young learner's English class. At the end of the workshop, participants will have talked and identified how to work with a song of their choice in their classrooms for learning and fun. So you see, this kind of session summary initially says what the presenter is going to do during the session and what would the participants take home with them or take to their classrooms after they leave your session. Specificity, again, is another content. If your session is based on research, it must be clear in your abstract and summary that you are going to report on a completed study. For example, if you have finished your PhD program and based on your PhD dissertation, you are going to write a proposal, or whether, for example, you've done a master's program and based on your master's thesis, you're going to write this abstract and you're going to give this presentation, then it needs to be mentioned somewhere. Or if it is, for example, in a specific phase of a research project, is it the results of the first phase of study? Is it the result of the final phase of study? Or what kind of, actually, what is the, how specific is your presentation going to be? And also, you need to be wary about the audience, what kind of level of knowledge you would be expecting in the audience. So when you specifically write about a proposal about young learners, then you would know that young learners, teachers share a specific jargon, share specific likes, dislikes, and some sort of methods in their classrooms. So what level of knowledge would you target? And would your audience be also? Usually the structure of an abstract, I'm saying usually because there is no must be in this writing an abstract, but a suggested structure for an abstract would be having an introduction, mentioning your methodology about how you collected the data that you're going to present in this presentation, about the results and findings of this study, and about the implications. How would the results of this study be used or could be used in practical terms by the teachers? And one thing, an important thing, is the coherence. So your session title, summary, and abstract should reflect each other. Your title should not be about young learner and abstract would be about adult learners, for example. Or your title is about using technology, and then your body, your abstract, your session summary would be about attitudes of, for example, language teachers or language learners. So there should be some sort of unity of idea among the title, abstract, and the session summary. Now, I'm going to show you an example of a sort of abstract here. That's the first paragraph. You see the introduction. Take a couple of moments and read the first paragraph of it. As you see, there is a very nice introduction. And even there is a reference. That's also one of the things, it's from experience point of view. Do not put a lot of references in the abstract or session summary. 1, 2, yes, it would be nice. But this is not an abstract of a paper that you want to publish. It's a conference proposal. So yes, as long as you put 1 or 2 references to indicate that, okay, I mean, you have done your homework. I mean, you have some basis. What you're going to provide has some basis in the literature. And this is the second question. Second paragraph. Take a few moments. So it clearly states, it really sets the context. That's the third paragraph. And then the final piece. During the workshop, participants will discuss the list of criteria which inform how feedback can be handled and apply those to different activities and try out a range of techniques to handle feedback. And then if you have used a sort of reference in the body of your abstract, then it is fair and it is quite right. It's giving the bibliography entry at the end of your abstract, and just also be aware that if you would write that bibliography entry at the end, this is also considered as part of your part of the number of words. So it is included in the word count. Now, interestingly, this abstract is 181 words. So when they say abstracts should be 250, that's the maximum. You do not necessarily need to hit that target of 250. It could be a little less, but if the maximum number of words is 250, and then you write 35 words, of course, this doesn't look good. Or if you write like 100 words, no. But as long as you write like over 50% or over 60% of the word count, you would be safe. And you cannot write more than the maximum number of words. So if it is 250, it's 250. The website does not and would not allow you to write anything more. So at this point, I would stop this presentation. Thank you very much. My email address is there. It is mohammed.etedali at yotzanunopisto.fi. That's my email address in case there are any questions, or if you would like to receive a copy of these slides, you can just send me an email and I would be happy to do that. I'm going to stop sharing this slide, and then the remaining few minutes, I'm sorry, we do not seem to have a lot of time for questions and answers, but I'm going to stop sharing the slides and start where is it? Stop sharing. Okay. So I'm here to answer your questions. Please feel free to ask your questions.
Okay, you can either open your microphone if you want to ask your question that way, or if you want to type in the chat box. Either way, but you are encouraged to ask your questions.
I also thank all of you who have been in this session. Thank you very much. I again take this opportunity to send my greetings to my former colleagues at TESOL Kuwait and former colleagues at Kuwait University. I have seen a couple of names here through the presentation. Well, again, I'm here to answer any questions. So as the moderator just said, feel free to enable your microphones and ask your questions, or type it in the chat box, please.
Well, you've done a fantastic job, Dr. Mohammed. No questions.
Well, it is. It is usually the indication, it could be the indication of two things. Either it was a very good job or it was a very horrible job.
No, I think it was a very good job, very informative. And the questions will probably come when we start writing our proposals. And then you will probably get all these emails.
Yes.
And I do want to encourage everyone because we have our virtual 2022 TESOL Kuwait conference. Please go to the TESOL Kuwait page, and you will find it where you can click on the link for the proposals. Dr. Rima Kanai has done a fantastic job, mashallah. She has put samples how to do this. So I encourage everyone to go to the TESOL Kuwait page and check out the proposals there. Okay. Now, people are asking about their certificates. Here is the link in the chat box again. Thank you, Mrs. Veronica, for providing us with that. Okay.
Thank you, Veronica. Would I be getting a certificate too or not?
Certainly, yes.
You definitely deserve a certificate.
No, just joking.
I'm trying to get this to go. Okay, any questions?
Thank you, Sarah.
It was an excellent, excellent presentation. And I think for many of us who didn't actually have our proposals accepted at different times, now we know why. Some of the reasons why we may not have had.
Well, as I said, there is something that we do not have control. So if somebody's proposal is declined, it does not really reflect on the person that, okay, my proposal was bad or it was written in low quality. Maybe in that particular year, there have been a lot of applicants, there have been a lot of proposals submitted, or maybe in a specific content area that you have submitted. For example, in technology for language teaching, they have got a lot of proposals in technology and language teaching. So they needed to be more selective.
Yes, and that's the whole thing. People don't realize how many proposals are actually received. Dr. Mohammed, approximately how many proposals does TESOL International receive?
Well, I'm afraid I don't know, because of the information privacy and information security. Every proposal reviewer will get to know how the specific number of the proposals that he or she receives. Yes. So for example, if I receive 25 proposals, these are the only proposals that I would be knowing. But I would think that the number is quite big for TESOL International.
Yes. Okay. Are there any other questions, comments? Yes, very good. Okay, I hope that you will join us for our October, I believe it's October the 2nd. We will be having another presentation. It will be on classroom management. And our presenter will be joining us from Canada. Natasha Farali will be here.
Okay, that's interesting. I think, yes, okay, I know her. This presentation is highly recommended. I can tell you from now.
Yes, thank you so much. And our wonderful technician, well, he's, I think, Dr. Ream's former student, but Sadiq is wonderful. He will be putting up the advertisement probably sometime this week. We were afraid that it would confuse people if it was up along with this, and they might register for today or think they were registering for today, but would be actually registering for October. Okay, you are encouraged to, for the, okay, certificates, I've put it here again. Wait a minute. So please, if you would do this, I'm going to close the meeting now. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed.
My pleasure.
I hope that you have a fantastic day.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you everybody for taking part, and thanks TESOL Kuwait for arranging this presentation and inviting me.
Yes, thank you all for attending. Have a very good day.